Every self-improvement influencer tells you the same thing. Cold showers will change your life. Cold showers build discipline. Cold showers boost testosterone and kills anxiety. Make you feel like a warrior every single morning. I heard it too many times, so I decided to test it on myself. 30 days every single morning, no excuses. And here's what I can tell you after those 30 days. Some of it is real, some of it is completely nonsense. And the thing that actually changed had nothing to do with what I expected going in. This is my honest experience. No excuses. No exaggeration. No selling you anything. Just what actually happened to me. I want to be honest why I started this. It wasn't because I read some studies about cortisol. It wasn't because Andrew Huberman told me this. I started because I was in a rough patch mentally. I was going through transition personally, mentally, and I need something concrete to hold on to. Something I could control when everything else felt uncertain. Cold showers feel like that. It's a daily commitment. A small act of doing something hard when doing hard things felt impossible. So one day I turned the dial to cold and immediately questioned decisions that I ever made in my life. That first week was brutal. Let me walk you through what actually happened. Week 1, every single morning felt like a small war. The moment the cold water hit, my body went into a full mode of panic. Heart racing, gasping, brain screaming, get out, get out. But here's the thing I noticed almost immediately. After every single shower, I felt a wake that coffee never gave me. Not hyped, not anxious, just present, here, clear. The mental fog that usually followed me in the first hour of the morning, completely gone. That part completely real. Week 2, something interesting started to happen. The shower itself got slightly easier, but more importantly, I started the moment of hesitation before getting in. The split second when your brain says you don't have to do this today and choosing to do it anyway, that moment started to feel like real point of this exercise. Not the cold water, the decision to do it when you don't want to do it. Week 3. This is where it gets complicated. The benefits I expected: more energy, better mood, less anxiety, were inconsistent. Some days I felt like a goat, focused, driven, great. Other day, cold showers done, and still felt flat, unmotivated, and unfocused. And that's where I started questioning the narrative. Because every single video about cold showers sounds like a magic switch, like the cold water itself rewires your brain. But what I experienced was messier than that. The cold showers didn't fix my mood, it didn't eliminate my anxiety, it didn't make me suddenly disciplined in all areas of life. What it did consistently was give me one win at the start of every day. One moment of choosing discomfort deliberately, and that I won't take away from it. That matters. Week 4. By this point, this thing becomes a routine. And here's the irony, the moment it became a routine, it stopped feeling like discipline. It just felt like showering. The psychological benefits of doing something hard stops when it became not so hard. The moment your nervous system adapts, the cold becomes normal, and the normal don't build character. So after 30 days, here's my honest feedback. What's real? The immediate mental clarity after a cold shower. Completely real. There is solid science behind it. Cold shower triggers release of noradrenaline, which generally improves focus and discipline. The discipline effect on week 1 and week 2. Also real. Starting your day with something uncomfortable does create a psychological momentum. The sense of, if I did that, I can do this. What's overhyped? The idea of that cold showers will make you different character. That's not real. I've seen that some people online treat cold showers as a personality transplant. Like stepping out of that shower, they've become a stoic warrior immune to weakness. That's not what happens. You step out cold, awake, and slightly proud of yourself. And then you're still you, with all your same patterns, same fears, same avoidances. The cold shower doesn't reach the deeper part. And the deeper stuff, it's where the actual work really is. What surprised me the most, the thing that changed most, wasn't my body or my energy. It was my relationship with discomfort. 30 days of deliberately choosing something uncomfortable quietly shifted something in how I relate to resistance. Not just in the shower, in my relationships, in my work, in my creative process. When resistance shows up, the familiar voice says, "Not today. Later, when you feel ready." I started recognizing it faster and dismissing faster. Because I'd been practicing dismissal every single morning. That nobody tells you about. And that was worth the 30 days. Here's what I think cold showers really are, and what they aren't. They aren't a life hack. They aren't a substitute for therapy, for real work, for facing your actual problems. They are a training ground for one specific thing. Doing something that you don't want to do. Repeatedly, consistently, without wanting to feel ready. And that skill applied to something real, your creative work, your relationship, your mental health, that's where real transformation happens. The cold showers is just a gym. Your actual life is the fight. So, should you try it? Definitely yes, but not because an influencer told you that it will change your life. Try it because 30 days of small daily discomfort might teach you something about yourself that no book ever could. Just don't expect from cold showers to do the deep work. That part is still on you. I still take cold showers. Not every day anymore. I will be honest with that too. Maybe 3 or 5 times a week. Not because I'm disciplined. Because I genuinely like how I feel afterwards. And that's maybe the most honest ending to this experiment. The goal was discipline. What I got was preference. I stopped doing because I had to. I kept doing it because I wanted to. And maybe that's what sustainable change actually looks like. Not force, not willpower grinding against resistance forever, but doing something long enough that it stops being a fight and starts being a part of who you actually are. If you tried cold showers or you are thinking to, drop your experience in the comments. I wanted to know your experience and what you wanted from that experience. So, like, comment and subscribe. Tell me if this sounds familiar. You've read the books, you watched the videos, you've built morning routine, cold showers, meditation, gym. You know about discipline, you know about dopamine, about atomic habits, you can explain stoicism at a dining table.
I see it now, the path is clear. No longer a mystery, just execution.
You know what cortisol does to your body, and yet something still feels off. You are more educated about self-improvement than 99% people on this planet. Somehow you feel stuck. Not lazy, not ignorant, just stuck. If that's you, I'm going to tell you something that might be the most uncomfortable thing you've heard in a long time. Because the problem isn't that you need more self-improvement. The problem is that self-improvement become your new addiction. I want to tell you that I've never said this so clearly enough. When I came out from addiction, real addiction, substances, the kind that takes everything from you, I threw myself into self-improvement. And at first it felt like a salvation. Books, podcasts, routines. I was consuming everything that I could find. Waking up at 5 a.m., cold showers, journaling pages every morning. And it felt good. It felt like I was doing something right. Finally building the life I supposed to have. But slowly, without recognizing, something shifted. The self-improvement content started less to feel like a tool and more like a need. If I missed morning routine, anxiety. If I skipped journaling, guilt. If I wasn't reading, wasn't optimizing, wasn't growing, I felt like I was falling behind. Behind what? I didn't even know this. And here the thing about addiction, real addiction, is that it always wears a disguise. Substances wore the disguise of relief. Self-improvement wore the disguise of progress. But underneath both of them, there was one thing: avoidance. I wasn't improving myself. I was hiding inside the idea of improving myself. And the self-improvement industry worth more than $40 billion was more happy to help me do that. Here's what nobody in self-improvement space want to admit. The industry doesn't profit from your transformation. It profits from your belief that you are not there yet. Think about it. Every book, every course, every YouTube video starts from the same premise. You're not enough as you are. You need to be better, faster, stronger, more disciplined and more optimized. And the moment you finish one book, there is another one waiting. Another system, another framework, another guru telling that their method is finally work. It never ends because it's designed to never end. There is a psychological mechanism that is called arrival fallacy, coined by psychologist Tal Ben-Shahar. It's the illusion that once you achieve something, once you build perfect routine, read enough books, become optimized version of yourself, you will finally feel okay. But the arrival never comes, because the goalpost always moves. And the self-improvement industry is built on making this goalpost moving again and again. Here's another thing it does. It turns pain into a product. Feeling lost, here's the product of how to find yourself. Feeling anxious, here's a book on Stoic philosophy. Feeling empty, here's 30-day challenge. Your one becomes a market and you become consumer of solutions to problems that are constantly redefining. So you always need the next solution. I'm not saying that all self-improvement content is worthless. Clearly, I make this content in this space myself, but there's a massive difference between content that actually helps you move forward and the content that just making you feel like you're moving forward while keeping you perfectly in place. Here's the neuroscience beneath all of this. When you consume self-improvement content, a motivational video, a chapter from Atomic Habits, a podcast about discipline, your brain releases dopamine. Not because you did something, but because you thought about doing something. The anticipation of growth triggers the same things and the same reward system as the growth itself, which means your brain literally cannot find the difference between reading book about discipline and being disciplined. It gets the hit either way. And hits are easier to get from a video than from hours of focused deep work. So your brain starting to be incredibly efficient, starts to prefer the hit over the work. You start to feel productive while being completely still. This is not a personal failure. This is a neuroscience, bro. But awareness is the beginning of exit, because once you see mechanism, you can't unsee it. Every time you reach for another video, another book, another framework, you can ask yourself honestly, am I learning something I need or I'm just getting a hit? So what's the alternative? Not ignorance, not giving up on growth, but a completely different relationship with it. First, consume less, apply more. Most people are operating at 90% of consumption to 10% of application. Flip it. One book applied is a completely different thing than 15 books just half read. One principle lived daily is worth more than hundreds of principles that you can understand. Stop collecting insights, start testing them in your actual life. Second, sit with discomfort instead of medicating it. Here's the truth. Most self-improvement consumption happens in a discomfort moment. You feel lost, you watch a video. You feel anxious, you open a podcast. You feel empty, you start a new book. And the content temporarily soothes the discomfort without even addressing what's underneath that. Real growth happens when you sit with your discomfort long enough to understand it. Not every feeling needs a framework. Sometimes it just needs your honest attention. Third, measure output, not input. Stop measuring how much you consume. Start measuring what you built, what you created, and what you changed. Not I read 20 books this year, but what is different in my life because of those books. That question is uncomfortable, which is exactly why most people never ask it. I still consume content, I still read, I still reflect, I still learn, but it feels different now. It's not a hunger I'm trying to feed. It's a tool I pick up when I need it and put down when I don't. Because the version of me that compulsively consuming self-improvement content wasn't growing, he was hiding. hiding from discomfort of actually building something, hiding from the risk of failure, hiding from the silence that comes when you stop consuming and have to sit with who you actually are. Real self-improvement is not a content category. It's quite unglamorous daily decision to show up your own life, even when no book told you to, even when no video inspired you, even when you don't feel ready. That version of growth nobody's selling, because you can't package it, you can't put it in a course, you just can't live it. If this hits something real in you, drop a comment with it, press like and subscribe. There is a moment most people never talk about. Not a depression, not a breakdown, just you look into a mirror one day and you don't fully recognize who is looking back. Not in a dramatic way, more like unsettling feeling. When did I become this person?
You just ask the same questions every week.
Maybe you've been functioning okay from the outside, going through the motions, do the work, but somewhere deep down you feel disconnected from yourself, from your choices, from who you thought you were becoming. If that feels familiar, stay with me, because what I am about to share isn't just a theory. It's something I lived through, and it changed everything what I know about identity. A few years ago I lost myself completely, not gradually, suddenly. I was deep in addiction, and when you is at this place, you don't feel like you're losing yourself. You feel like you are yourself. That's a trap. The substances, the chows, the patterns, they just start to feel like your personality. Like this is just who you are now. And then I went through psychosis. I'm not going to dress that up. It was the most terrifying experience in my life. The line between what was real and what wasn't completely dissolved. And when I came back from that, I didn't know who I was. Not in a poetic way like most people use on Instagram. I mean literally, the version of me who was existed before felt like a stranger. And here's what nobody tells you about recovery, about transition and about rebuilding. The hardest part isn't pain. The hardest part is the silence after.
I can no longer avoid this part of me. I embrace my shadow, and it becomes one with me. I am whole now.
When the choice is gone and you just left with yourself and you realize you have no idea who that is anymore. So why does this happen? Why do people lose themselves? Even without addiction, even without trauma. Here's what I've come to understand. You don't lose yourself all at once. You lose it by layers. Every time you make a choice that isn't yours, every time you say yes when you mean no, every time you shrink yourself to fit into a relationship, a job, an identity that someone else gave you, a layer disappears slowly, quietly, until one day you wake up and the person living your life doesn't feel like you anymore. Psychology calls this identity diffusion. When your sense of self becomes blurred, fragmented, you start borrowing identities from relationship, from roles, from substances, from social media.
What is happening? I won't let this define me.
Anything to fill the gap where you used to be. And here's the trap most people fall into. They try to rediscover themselves by looking outward. New city, new relationship, new routine. And those things can help. But don't get me wrong, I lived in Thailand, I lived in Bali, I sought expansion. But if you haven't done internal work, you just bring the same fragmented self to different locations. Carl Jung talked about this. He said the most important journey you will ever take is inward. He called it individuation, the process of becoming who you actually are. Beneath all the layers the world would put on you. But here's the thing that Jung didn't say clearly enough. Individuation is not a comfortable thing. It requires to sit with the part of yourself you've been running from. The shame, the contradictions, the desires you suppress, the version of you that exists before the performance starts. Most people never go there because the performance collapsed, the addiction collapsed, the identity collapsed. And in that rubble I found something. Not a new self, not a reinvented version. Something that had been there the whole time, just buried in layers of time. So how to finally rediscover of who you are? Not with a personality test, not with a vision board, not with another self-help book. Here's what actually works, at least for me and the people I've talked to. Step 1. Stop trying to find yourself. Start listening yourself. There is a difference. Finding implies searching outside. Listening means going quiet enough to hear what's inside. What do you feel before you think about what you are supposed to feel? What do you want before you think about what you are supposed to want? Those impulses, the ones you edit before they even reach the mouth, that's where your real selves live. Step 2. Look at what you are keep coming back to. Not what you think you should love, not what looks good on paper. What do you keep returning to when you know there is no reward, even when nobody is watching? For me, it was understanding people, reflecting, creating, even in the darkest moments. I kept coming back to that. That thread, that's identity, not the label. The thread. Step 3. Be willing to disappoint version of yourself others need you to be. This is the hardest one, because some people in your life are attached to who you are now. The old version of yourself. The you that was easier to predict, easier to manage, easier to need. And when you start becoming more yourself, some people will feel it as a threat. That's not your problem to solve. Your job is not consistently be who you were. Your job is to be honest with who you are. I'm not going to tell you that this process is fast. It took me years. It took collapse. It took rebuilding from almost nothing. But here's what I know now that I didn't know then. You were never really lost. You were just covered in others people's expectations, by survival mechanisms, by the identity you built to go through the hard times, that you forgot to update when the hard times passed. The real you wasn't destroyed by the chaos, it was waiting on the other side of it. And if you are in the middle of the chaos right now, if you are in transition, in a confusion, the I don't know who I am anymore, I want you to hear this. That feeling isn't a sign that you are broken, it's a sign you are becoming. The discomfort of not knowing who you are is the beginning of finding yourself, true self. Not a performer, not a role. You. That's enough for today. If something in this video hit you, drop a comment, subscribe and press like. You will lose hope and your smile if you skip this video, because I'm going to show you how to actually achieve your goals. Not through burnout or pressure, but through joy. I'm a business owner and a psychologist, and I lived my life through this. And what I have learned is this: if your path to success steals your peace, you are chasing the wrong version of success. We live in a world that glorifies stress. The people who is smiling while chasing their dreams, they don't just live better, they win longer. So let's talk about psychology behind achieving your goals with smile. Most people think that motivation comes from discipline, but neuroscience shows that it starts from dopamine. Every time you imagine your goal, your brain releases some dopamine. But when that reward feels too far away, your brain shuts down the motivation entirely. That's why we need to reframe our motivational system. Instead of chasing massive end goal, I will be happy when I make $1 million. Break it into smaller rewards. I'm proud that I worked 2 hours deeply today. Your brain loves progress, not a perfection. When you attach joy to the process, you just stay motivated longer. Smiling during your journey is not only emotional, it's neurological. It tells your brain, this is safe, this is working, keep going. So next time you catch yourself grinding without joy, pause. Smile intentionally. You are reprogramming your brain for a long-term consistency. The most productive people in the world, from artists to CEOs, achieve their best work in what psychology calls flow state. It's that beautiful zone where your actions feels effortless, time disappears and creativity peaks. But here's the secret, you can't enter the flow state if you're anxious or self-critical. The entry point to flow state is relaxed concentration, a playful seriousness. So how do you find it? Remove all distractions one goal at a time. Match a challenge to your skill level. Not too easy, not too overwhelming. Reward yourself with joy and peace. When you approach your goal with a sense of play, you build what I call productive peace. You are still serious about your dreams, but not heavy about them. Smile, laugh at your mistakes, celebrate your growth. That's not naive, that's flow psychology in action. Your thoughts define your emotional world. When you feel anxious about your goals, I will never make it. Your body reacts with control, tension and anxiety. But if you reframe that same thought, I am challenged right now and this is growth. Your brain releases dopamine and serotonin instead. Same situation, different chemistry. That's a cognitive reframing, the most powerful tool in psychology. That mental judo that turns fear into fuel. When you're smiling at a difficult moment, you are not pretending. You are taking back control of your internal dialogue. A smile tells your nervous system, I am safe. And only when you feel safe, your prefrontal cortex, the part that's responsible for focus and creativity, actually turns on. So if you're chasing your dream and feel overwhelmed, breathe, reframe and smile. Because it's not the enemy. Your perception of it is. We live in an era of push harder, but the truth is self-compassion creates more energy than self-criticism ever will. Studies from Stanford psychologist Christian Neff shows that people who practice self-compassion are more resilient, are more consistent and less likely to give up after a failure. Because when you treat yourself with kindness, your brain feels safe to try again. Smile at your small steps, forgive your bad days. Success built on self-hate collapses, but success built on compassion lasts. When you chase the dream with love for yourself, not punishment, you became unstoppable. You keep saying, one day I will start my business, one day I will fix my sleep, one day I will work out.
One day.
But here's the truth. You are not lazy, you are psychologically trapped. I'm a business owner and a psychologist and I lived my life through this. And if you've been waiting to be ready to start your own life, you might wait forever. So today I will show you 5 psychological traps.
This is what I want to be, but it's slipping away. Maybe tomorrow I'll start. Where I'd even begin? Distractions lure me, but long-term goals fade. I must choose now.
That make people delay their dreams and how to break free from them. Your brain tricks you into thinking, I need more time, I need more skills, and I need more confidence before you act. But this is a lie. You gain clarity through action, not before it. Every successful person was started unprepared, but they started. This illusion of readiness is your brain's way to protect you from uncertainty. Your subconscious thinks, if I will wait, I can avoid failure. But waiting is a failure. To break it, make a messy action your new standard. Don't say I'll do that when I'm ready. Say I'll do that now and it will make me ready. Comfort is a silent killer of your dreams. Psychologically, your brain prefers safety instead of success. That's why every time you try to change your routine, your brain resists. The discomfort loop looks like this. Discomfort, hesitation, avoidance, temporary relief and regret. And this becomes addictive. You start chasing temporary peace instead of long-term success. To escape it, redefine comfort itself. Your new comfort zone should be progress instead of pleasure. Find calm inside discomfort and your brain will follow your lead. Most people never outgrow their old identity. If you deep down believe, I'm not the type to succeed, your brain will sabotage any behavior that contradicts that belief. You can outwork the identity built on self-doubt. That's why shadow work, journaling, and personal therapy is so powerful.
I can no longer avoid this part of me. I embrace my shadow, and it becomes one with me. I am whole now.
They help you rewrite narrative of who you are. Who told me that I cannot become that person that I wanna be? And who will benefit if I stay small? Remember, identity is not fixed. It's a skill you build daily. Scrolling through other people's highlight reels tricks your mind into hopelessness. Your brain compares your chapter to someone else's epilogue. From a psychological perspective, constant comparison activates shame, one of the most paralyzing emotions of pursuing your dreams. It kills motivation and creates learned helplessness. So stop comparing timelines. You are not behind. You are just on your own chapter. Protect your mental focus like it's sacred. Replace comparison with curiosity. Ask what I can learn from them instead of why I'm not them. Modern life hijacks your reward system. Short-term dopamine from scrolling, porn, or constant entertainment rewires your brain to expect instant gratification. The result? You can't feel satisfaction from long-term goals anymore. To reverse it, use your dopamine strategically. Track your goals visually. Your dopamine system loves that. Reward small wins, not only your milestones. Replace mindless pleasure with mindful reward, like workouts, journaling, or meditation. You don't need to quit dopamine. You need to retrain it to work for you, not against you. You don't need another year to start your life. You need a decision right now. Stop waiting for permission. Stop waiting for readiness.
Why must I wait to be alive? No more permission. No more waiting.
Because every person who make it was once exactly when you are now. Today I will show you 6 traps that stop people from growing, and more importantly, how to escape each one. If you understand this, you will move faster than 95% of people there. Let's start. One of the most dangerous illusions in self-improvement is waiting for the perfect moment. People tell themselves, once I'm ready, I'll do that. But that moment never comes. In psychology, that comes from fear of judgment and perfectionism, a defense mechanism against failure. We overplan because deep down we're scared of imperfection. But the truth is, growth doesn't come from being perfect. It comes from being consistent. Think about this. Every person you admire started messy. The first product, the first video, the first move, all it was rough. But while everyone was waiting for the perfect plan, they were building momentum. How to escape that? Take action before you feel ready. Progress creates clarity. You learn by doing, not by overthinking. Remember, done is better than perfect. This one quietly kills motivation. You scroll online, you see someone doing better at your age, having more, achieving more, and suddenly you feel behind. In psychology, this is called social comparison theory. We naturally measure our worth by comparing to others' success. But the truth is, comparison blinds you on your own journey. When you focus on someone else's chapter 20 while you are still on chapter 3, you stop writing your own journey. Every person's timing is unique. Some bloom early, someone later. But success always comes to one who is consistent. How to escape it? Measure progress against your past self. Look back 6 months. Are you stronger, wiser, and more focused? That's your real metric. Growth isn't about being better than them. It's about being better than you were yesterday. Overthinking feels productive, but it actually disguised procrastination. Your brain is wired to avoid risks and pain, so it creates endless scenarios to keep you safe. But in doing so, it paralyzes you. As a psychologist, I see this constantly. People mistake thinking for progress. They analyze, plan, watch motivational videos, but never execute. Because every possible what if creates another reason to delay. How to escape that? You must switch from thought-based living to action-based living. Ask yourself, what's that one small step that I can do right now? Then do it immediately without a debate. The moment you start action, the fear starts to disappear. Remember, confidence doesn't come before action, it comes after action. Remember, growth often feels boring. The gym, reading, journaling, working on your craft feels repetitive. Your dopamine-driven brain hates that repetition. It craves novelty, stimulation, and instant results. That's why people jump between goals, chasing short-term excitement instead of long-term mastery. But mastery isn't built on excitement, it's built on discipline. How to escape that? Redefine boredom. Boredom is not a signal to quit, it's a sign that your brain is rewiring itself for the consistency. Every rep in the gym, every page read, every early morning compound quietly. The most successful people don't chase motivation. They build systems that keep them consistent even without motivation. When you grow, your environment changes, and sometimes people around you don't understand your path. So you isolate, you're trying to carry weight alone. But here's the truth, no one was succeeding in isolation. In business and psychology, people are wired to the social reinforcement. When you surround yourself with ambitious people, your brain normalizes growth. When you surround yourself with comfort seekers, your brain normalizes stagnation. How to escape that? Build a circle that inspires you, not drains you. Find mentors, community, or even friend who shares your mindset. When you grow together, the journey stops feeling lonely. It becomes a mission. This one hurts the most because it sits in you quietly. Even when you succeed, it whispers that you don't deserve it. In psychology, we call this imposter syndrome. The belief that your success is luck, not your system. But self-doubt is not a sign of weakness. It's a sign that you are expanding. You feel it only when you step outside your comfort zone. And now I will say how to escape that. Start collecting evidence of your wins. Write down what you have achieved, no matter how small. Remind yourself you are not lucky. You are growing, and growth often feels uncomfortable before it feels right. You are not lazy, you are not broken. The people who reach their potential, they are not smarter, more talented, or luckier. They've just learned how to remove what's in the way. So in this video I will show you 4 different things that's stopping from reaching your full potential and how to break free from them. Let's get into it. Most people don't really know what they are capable of because they never stopped to see themselves clearly. You can't fix what you can't see. Self-awareness is the foundation of growth. Yet many people live on autopilot, reacting, scrolling, chasing approval, repeating habits that sabotage them. To reach your potential, you must face your truth. Journaling, therapy, meditation, they are not trends, they are tools for self-observation. Ask yourself, what am I avoiding? What patterns repeating in my life? What am I afraid of losing if I'm actually going to succeed? Awareness doesn't feel good at first. It's like shining a light into your darkest room. But once you see the patterns, you are able to change them. That's how growth begins. Not by adding more, but removing what blinds you. Fear of failure is not about being afraid to fall. It's about being afraid how you look when you fail. We tie our identity to perfection. You think if we fail, it means that we are a failure. But that's false. Every successful person you admire, from Steve Jobs to Michael Jordan, have failed more times than most people ever tried. The truth is, fear doesn't disappear. You just stop letting it drive. You reframe it from threat to teacher. Next time fear shows up, ask, what is this fear is trying to protect me from? What would I do if a failure isn't an option? Start seeing failure as a data, not a defect. Each failure gives you feedback that sharpens your aim. The only failure is standing still, protecting your ego instead of developing new skills. Motivation is spark, but consistency is the engine. And here's the thing. The consistency isn't about working harder. It's about building systems that makes right actions automatic. Most people fail not because they can't do the work, but because they try to rely on emotion instead of structure. If you work only when you feel like it, you will lose every time. Start with structure. Goal calendar. Break your bigger goal into small daily achievable actions. Habit stacking. Attach your old habits to the new ones. Attach new habits to the old ones. Meditate after brushing your teeth. Journal after waking up and track progress. Small wins create a momentum. Just remember, consistency compounds. It's not massive actions that change your life. It's a small ones repeated daily, even when no one is watching. Your environment is stronger than your willpower. If you surround yourself with people who chase mediocrity, you'll start believing that's normal. But growth requires fiction. Being around those who challenge you and expand you. Ask yourself, what drains my energy? Who pushes me forward? What kind of person do I become when I'm with them? You can't soar if your surroundings pull you back to the ground. Sometimes you outgrow environment before you outgrow yourself, and that's painful but necessary. Change your space, change your pace. Read new books, join new groups, get mentors and listen to the voices, because your potential blooms in which soil you put yourself. Before I played games every day and I had goals, big ones, dreams that kept me awake at night. But slowly I noticed something strange. I was working less, thinking less, and worrying less. And I told myself I'm just relaxing. I will go back to it tomorrow. Tomorrow became months. This video isn't about blaming games. It's about the psychology, why we escape into games every day, and how that escape kills our potential. So if you ever said just one more game and then wondered where motivation went, this video is for you. Let's talk about dopamine, the brain feel-good chemical. Every achievement, every reward, every win releases a burst of dopamine. Games are designed to trigger this instantly, with level, points, progress bars, and rewards that your brain interprets as a real accomplishment. But here's the problem. Real goals like starting a business, building a body, or learning a new skill release dopamine slowly. They require patience. So when your brain gets used to instant dopamine hits, it begins rejecting slower rewards. That's why studying, improving yourself, or working starts to feel boring. Not because it is, but because your brain's reward system overstimulated. The first step to reclaiming your goals is simple but powerful. Reset your dopamine baseline. Limit gaming time. Take dopamine fast and expose yourself to the joy of real-world progress. It's not about quitting games. It's about regaining control over your motivation system. Here's the truth. Most people don't play games just for fun. They play to escape reality, to avoid stress, responsibility, and avoid discomfort. Psychology calls this avoidance coping. It gives temporary relief, but it strengthens the very problem of why you are trying to escape. When I was stuck in that loop, I wasn't lazy. I was just avoiding a pain of failure. In game, I could just restart. In real life, it hurt. So my brain chose the easy world, one where I had control, achievements, and no real risk. The fix is the real challenges in real world. The moment you start confront reality, even in small doses, your brain begins to associate real growth with satisfaction again. Start with small wins, complete one task, go to the gym one time, make one difficult phone call. Each real action rebuilds your psychological strength. When you spend hours gaming, your brain starts identifying as a player, someone reacting to the world, not creating it. But true fulfillment comes from creation, not consumption, from building, not just playing. As a psychologist, I learned that changing behavior often associates with changing your identity. Stop saying I'm addicted to games. Start saying I'm a person who starts making real progress. Identity is like a compass. Once it shifts, your behavior follows instantly. You don't have to give up games completely. Just rebalance who is in charge. Use the same passion, focus and strategy from gaming, but apply it to real life. Turn your goals into levels, your habits into quests, your progress into XP. Suddenly, life becomes the most interesting game in the world. The goal isn't to quit all pleasure. It's about building healthy relationship with it. In psychology, there is a concept called flow state, when challenges meets skill and you lose yourself in a deep focus. Games give us that feeling easily, but you can reach the same state in real life when you are coding, writing, training or building your dreams. The secret is to make your work feel like a game. Set clear goals, track progress visually, reward yourself after completing challenges. When you create structure and the feedback, your brain releases the same dopamine, but this time for the actions that really builds your future. That psychology of fulfillment, joy through growth, not escape. You didn't choose to be average. You are designed to be. From work to school, from media to social interaction. Everything around you teaches you how to fit in, not to stand out. So, let's talk about psychology, why you became so average. And more importantly, how to break free from it. From a psychological perspective, your brain doesn't seek pleasure. It seeks for the safety. Every time you choose comfort over challenge, your brain rewards with a small dopamine hit. It says, good job, you are safe. But comfort is addictive. It builds invisible walls around your potential. You stop pushing boundaries, you stop living this life. Society reinforces you to be in a comfort zone. You get praised for stability, not for the growth. Don't take risks, don't fail, just be realistic. It's a common words of society. And slowly you internalize that voice. To escape that, you must associate growth with reward instead of safety. You need to retrain your brain to crave discomfort, because that's where evolution happens. If you feel uncomfortable chasing something, it's a sign that you are growing. We define ourselves by what others reflect to us. It's called looking glass self in psychology. The problem is that you're surrounded by people who mirror mediocrity. If your friends are fine with being okay, your brain adjusts to this level. Your subconscious just says, it's normal. We mimic emotional and behavioral patterns of all people that surround us. It's called social conformity bias. It's why even ambitious people slow down when their environment not pushing them. If you want to rise above average, you have to upgrade your environment. Find people who make you uncomfortable, not because they judge you, but because they remind you that you can do more. Remember, your brain is plastic. It adapts to your surroundings. So choose environment that force evolution. Average people care too much about being liked, but psychology shows that approval-seeking behavior activates the same structure as a real danger. Your fear of being different, it's because your brain equates rejection with death. A leftover instinct from being excluded meant not surviving in tribes. That's why people hide their dreams, mute their opinions, and live life designed to fit in. Here's the truth. Being misunderstood is a part of being original. You cannot evolve if you need everyone to approve of you. Reprogram this by practicing micro-rebellion, doing small things that gain social approval, like saying no when it's uncomfortable or expressing your opinion openly. Each act rewires your brain to tolerate discomfort, the same way you'd build muscle in a gym. Most people think they will chase their dreams later. Psychologically, this is called temporal discounting. Your brain undervalues long-term reward in favor of short-term comfort. I will start a gym next week. I will launch my business when I'm ready. These are cognitive lies that your brain tells you to maintain equilibrium. But every time you delay, your identity shifts toward narrow pathway from around procrastination. And before you know it, inaction becomes your identity. You can break free from it by shifting your timeline. Act in immediacy mode. If something takes less than 5 minutes, do it immediately. Momentum is the antidote to being average. Small, consistent daily actions rewire your brain to reward system to associate movement with satisfaction. The final reason you became so average is that you lost your why. Purpose isn't something you find. It's something you build, brick by brick, through experiences, reflection and responsibility. In psychology we call this self-determination theory. The need for autonomy, mastery and purpose. Without it, you drift. People who don't have deep why eventually collapse into routine. They become emotionally numb, constantly chasing surface level dopamine, likes, attention, money, because their deeper needs are unmet. The cure isn't motivational speech. It's a direction. Ask yourself, what's the one thing I can contribute or build that would still matter 10 years from now? Then make every day small vote towards that vision. That's how you rise above average. Not overnight, but inevitably. No matter how much I've achieved, the feeling didn't go away. That quiet sense that something is missing. It was like standing in front of a mirror and feeling that I wasn't quite complete. And the more I tried to fix it, to define myself, to improve myself, the emptier it felt. Because here's the paradox. The harder you search for yourself, the more lost you become. I didn't realize it then, because I turned finding myself into a full-time job. Even new idea became a newer task. Every new method finally became my new way to prove that it's enough. But what I was really doing, I was running away from the silence. I thought I was chasing meaning, but I was avoiding stillness. And stillness is where the truth hides. There is a term in psychology that's called identity loop. It's when you try to create certainty about who you are. But in doing that, you actually create anxiety. Because every identity you build is fragile. You say, I'm productive until I burn out. You say, I am spiritual until you get angry. You say, I'm successful until the numbers go down.
What is happening? I won't let this define me.
And every time one of those images break, you feel lost again. So you rebuild it, stronger, tighter, shinier. And the loop continues. This isn't just psychological, it's spiritual. Every time you tell yourself who I am, you are reinforcing the idea that you are not already here. And that subtle belief, I am incomplete, is what fuels entire self-help industry. I've seen this even in businesses. Entrepreneurs say that when they build a company, they will be fulfilled. But when the company succeeds, the goalpost moves again. The success becomes a new baseline and fulfillment stays out of reach. Because your mind only knows how to measure. It doesn't know how to rest. The spiritual world isn't that different. People meditate for 10 years chasing enlightenment, only to realize the chasing act is creating a distance. You can't achieve peace. You can only notice that it was there entire time. The truth is, you can find yourself when you are trying to be someone else. And that's most of us do, until there is no space just to exist. There was a morning that changed everything for me. I woke up exhausted, not physically, but mentally. I was tired from thinking how to figure all out, tired of journaling my thoughts.
I can't do this anymore. I'm so tired. Kate.
Tracking my habits, forcing every moment to have a meaning. So I did something simple. I went outside, sat down and did nothing. No meditation, no mindfulness, just sitting. And for the first time, I noticed how my mind was loud, constantly narrating, judging, planning and evaluating. But beneath all the noise, there was something still and silent, a space I never noticed before. And in that space, there was a peace. Not the kind of peace that you get after achieving a goal, but the peace that's already there, once the need to search disappears. That moment taught me something psychology spiritually, and businesses all agree on. The moment you stop chasing control, real transformation begins. Psychology says that transformation isn't something physical. It's an ongoing process, a pattern your mind uses to organize experience. But spirituality says that you are not the pattern. You are the awareness watching it. And when you finally understand that, you stop identifying with the noise. You realize that behind every label, behind every success or failure, there is something untouched and constant. Call it consciousness, presence, soul. It doesn't matter what name you use. It's the same silence watching every unfold. Even in business, the same rule applies. The best flow states, the ones where you're deeply creative, fully alive, happens when you stop forcing results and let the awareness guide action. That's not detachment, that's alignment. You don't become less ambitious, you just stop believing that ambition is what defines you. But once you see who you truly are, was never missing. You can finally create, lead and live without fear. The day I stopped searching for myself, I started living and find the meaning in this. I began to enjoy small things again. The texture of sound, the feeling of walking.
I'm done searching.
The stillness between thoughts. Nothing around me changed. I didn't suddenly become enlightened, but my perspective did. I stopped trying to define myself and started experiencing myself. And strangely, that makes everything clearer. My goals, my relationships, my dreams.
I see it now. The path is clear. No longer a mystery, just execution.
Everything became lighter, more honest, and achievable. That's the paradox of awareness. When you stop trying to become more, you naturally start becoming whole.
I can no longer avoid this part of me. I embrace my shadow, and it becomes one with me. I am whole now.
Spirituality calls it surrender. Psychology calls that self-acceptance. Businesses calls it flow. But all they mean the same thing. Letting go of the false idea that you are not enough until something else happens. For years I optimized everything. Habits, traits, routines, productivity and mindset. I thought I was building discipline, but slowly I was losing peace. And one day I recognized something uncomfortable. Self-improvement can quietly turn into self-rejection. So let's talk about where it goes wrong and how to fix it. At first, self-improvement feels empowering. You read books, track habits, fix weaknesses. But over time, something shifts. Your inner voice stops saying, I want to grow, and instead of this, starts saying, I'm not enough. Psychologically, this is dangerous, to be honest. Your brain begins to associate your current self with failure. Every moment becomes a comparison with a better version of you. And the result, chronic dissatisfaction. You improve, but you never feel satisfied. Solution: shift from self-correction to self-respect. Ask, I'm improving because I hate who I am or because I value myself enough to grow? Growth should come from curiosity, not punishment. If your process feels heavy, judgmental and shame-driven, something is wrong. Constant self-improvement keeps your nervous system in evaluation mode. There's always something to optimize, something to fix, something to improve. From psychological perspective, it creates low-grade chronic stress. Your mind never feels done. Even rest becomes productive. Am I resting correctly? Am I recovering efficiently? That's not rest. That's control disguised as self-improvement. Over time, this leads to burnout, anxiety, and emotional numbness. Solution: you need non-instrumental time. Time with no purpose, no tracking, no benefit. Sit, walk, breathe, not to improve, but to exist. Your brain needs moments where nothing is required from you. That's where integration happens. Here's the paradox. The more you chase the better self, the more you disconnect from a real one. You start living accordingly to your ideals. The disciplined one, the productive one, the spiritual one. But psychology tells us, when identity becomes rigid, authenticity disappears. You stop asking, what do I feel? And start asking, what should I feel? That creates inner conflict. Inner conflict kills clarity. The solution is simple. Replace identity goals with values. Instead of I must be disciplined, ask, what kind of person do I want to be in this moment? Values are flexible. Identities is a prison. Growth works when it adapts to life, not when life bends to it. This is the saddest cost. People start self-improvement to feel alive, but eventually they postpone happiness. I will enjoy life when I'm better, when I'm healed, when I'm successful. But psychologically, your brain don't work like that. If joy always postponed, it becomes unfamiliar, and unfamiliar emotions feel unsafe. So even when you make it, the peace doesn't arrive. Solution: reconnect joy to the process, not outcome. Celebrate effort, smile at imperfections. Let progress coexist with appreciation. You don't grow after happiness, you grow through it. And I lived through this myself. I did the habits, I hit the goals, I improved constantly, and yet something was missing. Let's talk about why. Emptiness doesn't mean you are broken. It usually means you are misaligned. Psychology shows this clearly. You can optimize behavior while neglecting meaning. You can succeed externally while disconnecting internally. So let's break down why emptiness appears, even when life looks correct. Most people build their lives around performance, productivity, discipline, results, and performance works until it replaces presence. Psychologically, when you work tied to progress, to output, your nervous system never relaxes. You are always measuring. Am I doing enough? Am I improving fast enough? Am I becoming better? This creates a quiet anxiety beneath success. You stop experiencing life and start managing it. And emptiness shows up as a warning. You are functioning but not feeling. What to do? Shift moments of your day from doing to being. Not to improve, not to fix, just to feel. Presence is not laziness. It's a psychological nourishment. Here's a hard truth. Some people use self-improvement to escape who they are. They don't grow with themselves. They grow away from themselves. Every flaw becomes a problem. Every emotion becomes something to fix. Every pause becomes guilt. From a psychological perspective, this creates internal rejection. You're improving, but subtly telling yourself, who am I right now, is not acceptable. That measure creates emptiness, because the self cannot thrive where isn't accepted. What to do? Growth must include acceptance. You don't evolve by erasing yourself. You evolve when you're integrating yourself. Ask, can I grow without hating where I am? That question changes everything. Goals give direction, but meaning gives depth. Psychologically shows that growth without meaning leads to emotional flatness. You hit milestones, but nothing lands. You move forward, but don't feel fulfilled. Why? Because goals answer what? Meaning answers why. If your goals build on comparison, fear, emptiness is inevitable. What to do? Revisit the purpose behind your effort, not the outcome, the reason. Ask, if no one saw this, would it still matter to me? If the answer is no, emptiness is trying to redirect you. This is the quiet trap. I will be happy when I'm healed. I will rest when I'm successful. I will enjoy life when I'm arrived. But psychologically, your brain learns by repetition. If the joy always postponed, it becomes unfamiliar, and unfamiliar emotions feels unsafe. So even when you succeed, joy doesn't show up. Emptiness appears because your nervous system forgot how to receive satisfaction. What to do? Reconnect joy to the process, not as a reward, as a companion. Joy is not a finish line, it's a fuel. Emptiness isn't telling you to quit, it's telling you to realign. You don't need to do more, you need to listen deeper. Loneliness at this stage isn't random. It's not a weakness, it's not an ingratitude. It's a psychological side of growth that nobody talks about. Let's break it down. When you change deeply, your inner world shifts first. Your values change, your priorities change, your tolerance for noise, drama, stagnation disappears. But people around you may still live in a previous reality where you came from. Psychology calls this asynchronous development, when one person evolves faster than their environment. And here's a painful part. You can still be surrounded by people and feel unseen, because connection isn't about proximity, it's about shared meaning. You don't feel lonely because you are alone. You feel lonely because you don't speak the same internal language. But what helps? This phase isn't permanent, but it requires courage to seek aligned connection, not familiar comfort. As you become more successful, people start reacting to your image, not your inner world. They admire you, they respect you, but they stop meeting you emotionally. Some feel intimidated, some project expectations, some assume you don't need support. Psychologically, this creates role isolation. You no longer seen one of us, you are seen the strong one. And strength ironically makes vulnerability stronger. But what helps in this situation? You must consciously choose when you are a human, not impressive. Depth comes from a place where performance is unnecessary. Here's a subtle trap. The more successful you appear, the less permission you have to struggle openly. You don't want to disappoint. You don't want to look ungrateful. You don't want to break image others rely on. So you edit yourself. But psychology is clear. Unexpressed emotion turns into isolation. You don't feel lonely because no one is around. You feel lonely because no one knows you anymore. And I was thinking, what can help in this situation? Real connection requires selective vulnerability. Not with everyone, but with the right few. You don't need to be understood by many. You need to be known by someone. Growth teaches self-reliance, but taken too far, self-reliance turns into withdrawal. You stop asking for help, you stop learning, you stop sharing uncertainty. Psychology calls this defensive independence, when autonomy becomes your armor, and armor protects, but also isolates. What helps? The independence. The ability to be strong and open, capable and connected. The balance where mature fulfillment lives. Loneliness at the top doesn't mean something goes wrong. It means something is changed. You didn't lose connections, you outgrow all type of them. And the next step isn't going backward. It's a step towards your fulfilling life and subscription on this channel. Press like, subscribe, and leave a comment with your favorite book or your favorite celebrity. So let's grow together. Have a good flight, fam. Let's start simple. Individuation is Carl Jung's central concept, and it's a process of becoming a whole, integrated person. It's about pulling the hidden and unconscious parts of who you are and weaving them into your conscious life. Jung once said, the aim of individuation is nothing less than to divest the self of the false wrappings, the false wrapping of the persona and the suggestive power of primordial images. That's a fancy way of saying taking off the masks that you wear for society and becoming your true self, authentic, unique, and the whole. Now, Jung outlined 3 powerful stages of the individuation process. Shadow integration. The shadow is something you denied or repressed, the sides of yourself that you pushed into the dark. Shadow work means shining a light on this spot, accepting it and integrating it. For example, if arrogance in someone annoys you, maybe there is a hidden part of you craving for recognition. Anima and animus integration. This is the contrasexual parts of your psyche, the inner feminine if you are a man, and the inner masculine if you are a woman. Integration here brings compassion, balance, and creativity for a man, assertiveness and clarity for a woman. It's just about becoming more complete. Self-realization. This is the deepest state of self-archetype. Here you stop chasing external validation and instead align with a deeper force that unites your conscious and unconscious. It's where the meaning and true wellness live. Jung believed that individuation intensifies in midlife because the first half of life is about building an ego, career, status, family, but eventually you start asking yourself, is this all there is? That's when individuation calls you inward. It can feel like a crisis, but actually it is individuation process. As Jung put it, no one in second half of life was ever cured who did not achieve a spiritual outlook. Your pain is the entry point for transformation. Alright, let's make it practical how to do individuation. Here are 5 practical tools. First is a dream work. Keep a dream journal. Write one dream every morning. Dreams are like letters from your unconscious. Look for repeating symbols and patterns. They are guiding you. Active imagination. Set aside a quiet time. Close your eyes and let the images or voices arise. Dialogue with them and write down what happens. This practice connects your conscious mind directly with your unconscious. Shadow work. Use 3, 2, 1 process. Face it. Describe someone who triggers you. Talk to it. Imagine a dialogue. Be it. Say I am and embody this. Analyzing persona. Ask yourself, what masks do I wear at work, with friends or social media? Write them down and ask yourself, which masks do I feel fake? Which are hiding your true self? Symbolic engagement. Look at myths, art or spiritual tradition that resonating with you. Symbols are the language of the unconscious. Pay attention to ones that is appearing in your life. They are not random. Individuation isn't something you check off a list. It's a lifelong commitment. You can live it daily through small practices. Record your dreams, reflect on your emotional triggers, express yourself authentically in conversation. Read works like Memories, Dreams, Reflections by Carl Jung. Keep asking, do I live my story or follow somebody else's script? The goal isn't to become perfect. The goal is to become worthy. Whenever you love him or hate him or somewhere in between, you cannot deny that Jordan Peterson changed the way millions of people think about psychology, responsibility and the meaning. Let's break down the reasons why. Articulation, the power of word. Peterson have a gift that a lot of psychologists don't have, and even public speakers. It's not just that he knows psychology, is that he can articulate ideas that cuts straight into your soul. When he talks about responsibility, meaning, or confronting the chaos, you don't just hear the words, you feel them. And that's rare, because in our world of short attention spans, most speakers simplify to the point of emptiness. But Peterson manages to take deeply complex psychological and philosophical truths and speak them clearly without losing the depth. This kind of articulation is once in a generation talent. Carl Jung, Freud, Solzhenitsyn and Dostoevsky, these names used to feel inaccessible for most people, but Peterson acted as a bridge. He took dense, most impossible to read book and translated it into lessons for everyday life. Suddenly, archetypes is not just academical theory. They became mirror of your own life. The dragon wasn't just mythology. It was the challenge that you face every morning after you wake up. He brought the depth of psychology for ordinary people who otherwise will never pick up. The Archetypes and Collective Unconscious by Carl Jung and Nietzsche, thus spoken Zarathustra. That's not something you can easily replicate. It takes decades of study, practice and courage to step into a public spotlight and stay there through chaos. What made Jordan Peterson more than just intellectual is his empathy.
Little, that there's nothing to them but corruption and power. It's like, how the hell do you expect them to react?
You see it in the moments where people in the audience would break down in tears while asking him questions. He didn't dismiss them, he didn't talk down to them, he listened, he cried with them. He carried their pain with seriousness. Peterson reminded that suffering is a part of life, but so is strength, growth, and transformation. That mix of intellectual sharpness and raw human empathy is extremely rare. A speech can inspire you for a day. A book can guide you in a lifetime. With 12 Rules of Life and Beyond Order, Peterson didn't just leave sound bites. He left a structured roadmap for living. Millions of people, young and old, picked up those books and found clarity when they were lost. And the power of book is that it lived beyond the author. Even 100 years were long gone, his words will still be guiding someone who's struggling to make sense of his own life. Today I will explain why Lady Gaga is more than just a pop star. She's a paradigm of self-improvement, resilience, and the power of authenticity. If you are chasing your dreams, or you misunderstood, or if you're learning how to be yourself, this video is for you. Lady Gaga is a perfect example of human who confronted her shadow. From early rejections in music industry to struggles with mental health and physical pain, she didn't hide these parts of her story. She embraced them. Carl Jung said, "One does not become enlightened by seeing the light, but making the darkness conscious." Gaga lives that truth. She turned pain into art, her trauma into music, and her shadow into power. Personal growth lesson. Do your shadow work. Write down parts of yourself you're trying to hide. Accept them, only then you can transform it into power. Gaga never conformed to the industry expectations. She wore meat dresses, bizarre costumes, and created a whole new identity around her art. Because she knew who she was and decided not to put this into the box. In a world where most people hide behind the mask, Gaga's radical self-acceptance gave others permission to do the same. Personal growth lesson. Stop apologizing for who you are. Write down your values, your lessons, your quirks. Accept them fully, because the moment when you stop running from yourself, you gain unstoppable confidence. Here's what most people miss about Lady Gaga. Behind the wild costumes and performances is discipline. She trained for years in songwriting, piano, and performances before her big break. She worked endlessly on her craft. Discipline is a bridge behind dreams and reality, and Gaga mastered that bridge. It wasn't luck, it wasn't just talent. It was daily grind, the hours of practice, the commitment to improvement. Personal growth lesson. Whatever your dream, pair it with your discipline. Commit to showing up every day, even when motivation dies. Gaga could have stayed safe. She could have played small. Instead, she goes into her fear. She risked ridicule, rejection, and even her reputation. And that's why she became so iconic. Fearlessness doesn't mean you don't feel fear. It means you act despite it. Gaga turned her fear into fuel. That's what separates her from the rest. Personal growth lesson. Whatever scares you is the direction you need to go. Don't run from fear. Step into it. Because your dream lives on the other side of your fear. And today I will explain why Britney Spears isn't just a pop star. She is a symbol of ambition, fearlessness, shadow integration, and courage toward her dream. Her story isn't just about entertainment. It's a psychological blueprint for everyone who is chasing personal growth. Britney grew up in a small town, in an environment where her wild dreams seemed almost impossible. Like many of us, she faced the limitations of her surroundings. People telling her you can't, stop doing this. You shouldn't. Be realistic. So what did she do? She created an alter ego, a stronger, bolder version of herself. This is something psychology teaches us. When reality feels too heavy, build an identity that protects us and carries further. Britney's alter ego is Sasha Fierce. It allowed her to step into stages, interviews and challenges with more confidence than her younger self thought it is impossible. Think about it. How many times do we hold back because our current self doesn't feel good? An alter ego can become a bridge between who you are now and who you want to become. From the beginning, Britney wasn't just talented, she was ambitious. Ambition is fire that separates dreamer from achiever. She didn't just sing in a room. She performed, auditioned and fought for every chance. The ambition reminds us that talent without drive is a wasted potential. Britney's career shows us that if you want to grow above the crowd, ambition has to be bigger than a fear. Ask yourself, are you aiming high enough or are you lowering your standards because it feels safe? When you look into Britney's success, you see fearlessness. Every performance, every risk carried the possibility of failure, but she did it anyway. Fearlessness doesn't mean the absence of fear. It means walking through fear. Its ability to step into the unknown and say, I'm going anyway. Britney embodied this. She stepped into a world stage as she belonged there, even when the pressure was unbearable. That's a lesson for all of us. Fear never disappears. But the question is, will you let it stop you or fuel you? And at the heart of it all is a courage. Britney Spears had the courage to chase a dream most people laughed at, to step out of her small town and into the global spotlight, to continue even when critic, media and personal struggles was trying to beat her. Courage is what transforms ambition into a reality. And that's why there will never be another Britney Spears, because courage like her is rare and it inspires us to find our own. Let's break down why loneliness happens and why it's actually proof that you're on the right path. Here's the reality: only 1 to 5% of people chase their dreams and chase personal growth. Most people live on autopilots, repeating patterns, staying in the comfort zone, following the routines set by society. When you suddenly wake up and think, I want more, I want to achieve, I want to grow, I want to build something legendary, you instantly separate you from majority. And difference often feels like isolation. Think about it: if everyone gossiping about small things and you are talking about books, achieving something legendary, goals, psychology and your dreams, you will feel out of place. That's normal, it just means that you are not average. Take any successful artist, entrepreneur or inventor, such as Elon Musk, Steve Jobs, Lady Gaga and Jordan Peterson. What's the one thing they have in common? It's loneliness. Why? Because they saw that nobody else can see. They held a vision of the future so clear, while people around them criticized them, doubted them, or simply didn't understand. When you are above the ordinary, the others will try to pull you down. Not because they hate you, but because your personal growth reminds them of their stagnation. But here's the good news: if you keep pushing, you eventually will attract your real tribe, the 1 to 5% who understand your hunger. From a psychological perspective, growth comes from two places, and loneliness too. Identify, shift. You are changing. The old version of you is fading, but the new version hasn't fully formed yet. In that in-between phase, you feel like you don't belong anywhere. Mismatch of values. Our brain craves belongings, but if your values are now about focus, building something legendary and something meaningful, while your old friend patterns are escaping and wasting time, your brain fills the gap. It's not that you are alone, it's that your nervous system rewiring you to find new, deeper connections. Here's the shift you are experiencing. You are no longer satisfied with default friendships, built on geography, coincidence, or old habits. You now crave firm, international, and interesting connections. This is why superficial conversations bore you, but one deep about growth. So instead of fearing this loneliness, use it as a filter. It's showing you what kind of people you want in your life. People who push forward, challenge you, and celebrate your wins instead of doubting them. Think about like this. The seed must go into a dark soil to become a tree. Your lonely phase is your soil, the place where the roots are forming. Without this period, you wouldn't have strength to grow tall later. Isolation often comes before expansion. Another reason why loneliness hits is that you are leaving behind quick dopamine. When you stop partying every weekend, stop drinking alcohol, or chasing instant pleasure, there is a void. That void feels like loneliness, but this void is something new. In reality, it's a space. Space that can be filled with habits, books, meditation, and the projects that make your future self proud of you. Carl Jung once said, "Until you make your unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate." Loneliness can push you forward towards shadow work, facing your inner fears, doubts, and insecurities. Instead of running from them, integrate them. And once you do, you will realize that loneliness isn't your enemy, but it's your teacher. The moment you embrace the path, you will immediately start attracting new people, mentors, like-minded people, and business partners, or even an online community. It won't happen overnight, but one by one, the right people will appear. That's when you realize the loneliness was temporary, but the growth is forever. The truth is that personal growth isn't about feeling happy. It's about building strength, resilience, and clarity. Loneliness is a part of package, but it also showing you that you are walking the road less traveled. And that's why your story will inspire others one day. People think that genius comes from chaos, late nights, wild ideas, and sudden breakthroughs. That's a myth. Real genius is a structure. A goal calendar is most underrated thing in personal growth. Every day, write small achievable goals and check them off. Every month, set a challenge with a clear deadline. Over a year, this compounds. You will outwork and outsmart 90% of people. Consistency looks like genius from the outside. Carl Jung said that until you make unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate. Shadow work means that you are trying to face challenges and the hidden parts of yourself. Jealousy, fear, shame, and anger. Write about your triggers. Ask yourself, what does this emotion teach me about myself? Integrate it instead of suppressing it. When you integrate your shadow, you don't just look stable, you radiate wisdom. People will say, how do you stay so calm? How do you always know what to do? That's a shadow work. The fastest way to live like a genius? Read, not just scroll. No just headlines. Read deeply. Here are two that I highly recommend. The Archetypes and Collective Unconscious by Carl Jung. This book helps you to understand universal patterns in human mind. Once you see these patterns, you understand people at a level of most never reach. The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck by Mark Manson. This one is modern, raw, and brilliantly honest. It teaches you how to focus only on one thing and on what truly matters, instead of wasting energy on distractions. Reading makes you timeless. You are not just living your life, you are borrowing 1,000 different lives. Here's the secret. The strongest people I've met is ones who asked for help. Therapy isn't about weakness, it's about updating your mental operating system. You learn how your childhood shaped you. You learn where your patterns come from, and you learn how to break free. People will see you handling stress with clarity and speaking with confidence, and they will think that person is just built differently. But in reality, you just did an inner work. You don't need to reinvent a wheel. If someone already mastered it, learn how they think, how they work, and how they structure their life. Steve Jobs obsessed over simplicity. Kobe Bryant trained harder than anyone else. Lady Gaga embraced authenticity and shadow work. Pick one person you admire, choose their habits, mindset, and daily routines. Copy first, adapt, and make it yours. Modeling greatness makes you look like genius in record time. So here's a bonus topic. If you really wanna look like a genius, don't just collect your knowledge. Share it. When you explain complex ideas simply, people will think you are intelligent. Teach a friend what you just read. Write a post or share a short video. Teaching forces you to understand knowledge on a deeper level, and it builds an authority, because genius is not about collecting knowledge, it's about sharing your wisdom. Today I will share you 6 powerful insights and tools to break free and finally move forward. Procrastination isn't a personal failure, it's a mind habit, and like any habit, it can be unlearned. Let's break it down step by step. If you find this valuable, subscribe, press like, and share a comment with your favorite book or your favorite celebrity. It literally supports this community of self-growth. First, we need to understand why procrastination happens. It's rarely because you are lazy. Sometimes it's just your fear. Fear of failure, fear of success, and fear of judgment. Your brain interprets a task as a threat, so it distracts you with safer, easier activities. Once you realize it's fear, not laziness, you can approach it with compassion instead of guilt. Perfectionism and procrastination are twins. You tell yourself, I will start when I'm ready, or I will do it when I make it perfect. But this perfect moment never comes. Here's the cure. Lower the bar. I'm for the progress, not perfection. Set a 10-minute timer and just start. That small win creates momentum and kills procrastination. Here's a secret. Urgency kills procrastination. If you give yourself a whole day, your task will expand to fit it. But if you give yourself 1 hour of focused work, you will be shocked at how much gets done. I use a Pomodoro technique. 25 minutes of focused work and 5 minutes of rest. You will retrain your brain to focus in short and achievable bursts. One reason because we procrastinate is because our future vision is abstract. You don't feel a reward of finishing today. You only feel the pain of effort. Visualization changes that. Close your eyes and imagine your future vision in 5 years. 5 years from now, if you keep procrastinating. Then imagine your life if you stay consistent. The emotional contrast makes your choice clear. Act now or regret later. Procrastination thrives in chaos. If your goals stay only in your head, they will continue to be just only dreams. But when you create a goal calendar, you give them structure. Write down your monthly goals, break them into daily actions, and check them off. That physical act of ticking the box rewires your brain to crave progress and build confidence step by step. Here's something deeper. Sometimes procrastination is your shadow speaking, the part of you that feels worthy and scared of growth. Instead of fighting with it, Listen to it. Journal your fears. Ask, what am I really avoiding? Often it's not the task. Often it's a feeling behind it. By shining light on a shadow, you stop procrastinating at its root. And I started this channel to prove that growth isn't about luck. It's a skill you can learn. So today I will share 6 key lessons that I learned from my own journey. Habits and mindset that you can apply right now. Everyone thinks that motivation is key, but motivation fades, systems stay. When I built my first business, I wasn't motivated every morning, but I had a system. Wake up, plan, execute, and reflect. That's what kept me going when I feel unmotivated or uninspired. Ask yourself what systems I could put in place today that works when I don't feel like it. Most people works on a surface habit. Wake up early, exercise, read, but real growth starts when you face your shadow, the fears, insecurities, and suppressed parts of your personality. As Jung said, until you make your unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate. Try journaling about your triggers, your fears, your insecurities. That's where your hidden power is. The easiest traps is a feeling that you are going nowhere. That's why I created a goal calendar. On the one page, small daily achievable tasks, and on another, bigger monthly milestones. Every day I check things off to prove that I'm moving forward. Your brain needs evidence of progress. It kills procrastination and builds confidence. Most anxiety comes from not knowing what's next. That's why visualization is so powerful. I write down my ideal day 5 years from now. Where do I live? On what I'm working on? With whom I am? What do I feel when I'm waking up? Every morning I read it. Every evening I reread it. Over time my brain starts feeling that it's already true. Your vision guides your daily choices. Without it you drift, with it you build. I can't overstate this. Books saved me years of mistakes. Some of my must read: The Archetypes and Collective Unconscious by Carl Jung to understand yourself better. The Subtle Art of Not Giving a F by Mark Manson for cutting the noise. And Memories, Dreams, Reflections by Carl Jung for deep life insight. Reading lets you download decades of someone else's knowledge in days. Here's a truth. I failed more times than I can count. Business collapsed, habits broke, people doubted me. But self-improvement isn't about being perfect. It's about coming back stronger every time. I don't want to think that I'm some guru. I'm just a guy proving that it's not luck. It's persistence, discipline, and a vision. So today I will share you 6 hidden dangers you need to be aware if you're really pursuing your dreams, and how to handle them without losing yourself. When you commit to your dream, you often walk a path a few people around you will understand. Friends might stop calling you, family can start criticize you, and you might feel completely alone. That's why 1 to 5% of people genuinely chase personal growth and daring ambitions. Psychologically, this isolation can bring you deep feeling of loneliness, rejection, abandonment, and even self-doubt. Humans are wired for connection, and when you start separating from a default life, it can feel like exile. But here's reframe. Isolation can become transformation. Use this quiet time to build yourself, sharpen your vision, and strengthen your inner resilience. Instead of chasing shallow connections, seek out mentors, like-minded peers, or even online communities where growth is celebrated. Loneliness is real, but it's also a proof that you are not ordinary. Pursuing your dreams is exciting at first. Late nights, endless energy, and unstoppable drive. But here's a trap. If you push without a balance, burnout will come knocking. And burnout doesn't just mean being tired. It means losing your joy, motivation, and inspiration. As a psychologist, I see many people confuse discipline with self-destruction. They think grinding 24/7 equals success. In reality, your nervous system, your emotions, and your body all need recovery to perform at their peak. If you neglect sleep, relationships, and recovery, you are not building your dream. You are building a time bomb. The solution is rhythm, not constant intensity. Think of elite athletes. They train hard, but they also rest. Build recovery into your schedule, time to reflect, meditate, or even do nothing. Paradoxically, the best ideas and breakthroughs comes in that silence. Let's be real, dreams cost money, whether it's starting your business, traveling for your art, or investing in education. The financial burden is often underestimated, and financial stress can kill not just dreams, but also relationships and mental health. The psychological danger here is to live in a constant survival mode. When your money is tight, your brain focused at fear instead of creativity. You may compromise your values, rush decisions, or even quit your dream because it feels impossible. The attitude is financial wisdom. Start small, plan your runway, and treat money as a tool, not an enemy. Even working a side job and building savings can give your dream an oxygen. Dreams thrive when they are supported by structure, not when they are choked by desperation. Chasing your dreams forces you to face failure, rejection, and comparison. You will watch others will succeed faster. You will question your own abilities. Self-doubt creeps in like a shadow. Shadow whispering, maybe you are not so good enough. But here's the truth. Self-doubt isn't a proof that you are failing. It's a proof that you are stretching into a new territory. Every entrepreneur, leader, or artist you admire was wrestled with it. From Jungian perspective, self-doubt means it's your shadow. The parts of you that feels unmotivated, unworthy, and the parts of you that feel small, insecure, and in fear. Integrating the shadow doesn't mean erasing it. It means acknowledging it and moving forward anyway. Courage isn't an absence of doubt, it's action despite it. Ironically, chasing your dream can make you forget why you started. You can become so obsessed with the goal, money, fame, and recognition, that you lose your authenticity. You trade your values for validation, and your dream becomes a prison. This is the danger of living only for the persona, the mask you present to the world. When you ignore your deeper self, success feels hollow, no matter how shiny it looks. The antidote is a constant self-reflection. Journaling, therapy, meditation, these tools help you to check in with your authentic self. Ask regularly, am I still aligned with my true vision, or am I chasing someone else's definition of success? Your dream should free you, not enslave you. One of the best parts of chasing your dream is developing courage. But there's a thin line between courage and recklessness. Taking bold risks is necessary, but ignoring reality, overestimating your abilities, or burning bridges without strategy can sabotage your path. Fear has a purpose. It's a signal, not an enemy. It keeps you aware, alert, and humble. If you silence fear completely, you may leap blindly into disaster that could have been avoided with reflection. The key is balanced bravery. Step into the unknown. Do it with preparation, strategy, and wisdom. That's how you turn courage into progress instead of chaos. 7 Habits of Highly Effective People by Stephen Covey. Today I will not just break down these 7 habits, but will show you how to actually apply them in your own self-improvement journey. Because these principles without action, they are just theory. So let's dive in. The first one is foundation. Be proactive instead of reactive. Most people live like victims of circumstances, blaming their boss, their parents, or their current life situation. But proactive people take ownership. They recognize that while they can't control everything, they can always control their response. For me, this shifted everything in my business. I used to think, well, if the market is down, I can't do much. But when I shifted to asking, what can I do? What in my control? I start innovating instead of waiting. Application for you. Write down 3 things you complain most often, then reframe them to actions you can control. If you complain, I don't have enough time, reframe it. I can schedule 1 hour daily for my goals. Proactivity is not about ignoring problems. It's about refusing to let them own you. Covey teaches us that everything created twice. First in your mind, second in your reality. This habit forces you to ask, what's my vision? What do I actually want my life to look like? Most people wonder because they never define the end. When I started my businesses, I wrote down exactly lifestyle I want in 5 years. Where I live, how I work, who I was surrounded by. That clarity became my compass. And here's the psychology behind it. Your brain filters the reality you focus on. With a clear vision, your subconscious starts seeing opportunities that are aligned with it. Application for you. Write your own personal mission statement. It's not about fluff, it's about a North Star. Define your values, the impact you want to leave, and what success means to you. This is a productivity principle that separates dreamer from a doer. Covey distinguishes between what's urgent and what's important. Most people get trapped in urgent emails, small fires and distractions. But true effectiveness comes from consistently investing in what matters and what's important. Health, relationships and long-term goals. I learned this in a hard way. I worked 12 hours days putting fires, but never built a system. Once I prioritized importance, like building strategy or developing people, I scaled with less stress. Application for you. Every morning when you wake up, write down 3 sentences, what you must do and what's important. Do them before the distractions. Train yourself to protect your deep work time like your life depends on it. In businesses, relationships and even family, most people default to a scarcity mindset. They think that someone else's win, it's their loss. But the most effective people find solutions where everyone grows. For example, for negotiations, I used to aim just to win, but that often left resentment and weak partnership. When I start asking how both of us can win in the long term, I built lasting business relationships that gave back tenfold. Psychologically, a win-win approach reduces stress, builds trust and aligns with human reciprocity, the tendency to give back when we feel valued. Application for you. Next time you face a conflict, pause and ask yourself what outcome would benefit both of us. This mindset shift doesn't make you feel weak. It makes you powerful because people want to work with you instead of against you. Here's where most people fail. They want to be heard, but they don't listen. Covey's principle is rooted in empathy. Listening not just with your ear, but with your full attention and your heart. As a psychologist, I see this daily. People don't want quick fixes. They want to feel understood. When I applied this to my business, everything changed. Instead of trying to sell people what I thought they need, I first listened deeply to their problems. The result: stronger trust and better solutions. Application for you. Practice active listening today. In next conversation, repeat what you heard before responding. This shows empathy and ensure real understanding. You will notice how people open up more and your influence grows naturally. Synergy means combining the strengths, so the result can be greater than the sum of its parts. In psychology, this connects to the idea of collective intelligence. One brain is powerful, but multiple diverse perspectives solving a problem, that's a genius. When I was scaling one of my businesses, I realized that I was trying to do everything by myself. Burnout hit. The breakthrough came when I built a team and let each person to bring their strengths. The synergy created solutions I never would have imagined alone. Application for you. Stop trying to be a lone wolf. Surround yourself with the people who are different from you, who challenge you, not just agree with you. Collaboration brings innovation. This final habit is about renewal, physically, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually. We live in a culture that glorifies burnout, but COVID teaches us that effectiveness comes from the balance. If you never sharpen a saw, you eventually will break. For me, this means meditation, reading, exercise, and connecting with loved ones. These aren't breaks from work. They are what make my work sustainable. Application for you. Audit your week. Where are you draining yourself? Schedule non-negotiable renewal time. Even 20 minutes of meditation or exercise can completely reset your nervous system and clarity. So let me show you 7 silent energy leaks that are stealing your focus, your drive, and your future. It's not a secret that if you sleep poorly, stress hits harder. But why? Because during sleep, your body and your mind recover. It's like hitting the reset button for your entire system. You need 6 to 8 hours of sleep to perform. Sure, millionaires can brag that sleeping 4 hours is okay. But forget that. You need a quality rest after a productive day. What if I told you that there is a way to enter flow state every day? Before I would work for hours, but lose focus quickly. Work that could be done in 4 hours took me almost 8 hours. Then I applied a rule from the gym. 1 hour of deep work and 15 minutes of deep relax. That break could be done by meditations, walk, or just silence. But remember, it's useless if your body isn't properly fueled. But remember, your brain and body can function without right supplements. I used to have a bad mood, poor memory, and zero focus. So I visited a doctor and she prescribed me to drink magnesium and B vitamins. That small step supported me on a path of self-improvement and dream chasing. But it all doesn't matter if you keep making the next mistake. If you use alcohol to relax, you are settling yourself back. Alcohol steals your time, energy, your focus, and your mental clarity. Every time you drink, your body needs up to 3 days to fully recover. You will feel lazy, indecisive, and procrastinating all the time. That's not a version of your future self you want to become. What is your future self? It's a clearer version of your future that you want. It reduces anxiety and gives yourself direction. Trust me. I was diagnosed with clinical depression and anxiety. But when I created a vision of my life 5 years from now, what I feel, what am I doing, with whom are you, what do I eat, something changed. Write it down and reread it every day. Feel it, live it, let it guide you. Because without vision, you are drifting. This question I ask every time I'm unsure. I'm not a fan of flipping a coin. Instead, I ask what would make a better story. It's your life, it's your movie. So choose a bolder path. Choose a path that your future self will be proud of. Top performers meditate. That's not just a hype. Meditation resets your mind, boosts your focus, and resets your nervous system. Here's a simple way to start. Sit comfortably, breathe in, breathe out. Focus only on the feeling, how the air flowing through your nose. Feel the negativity leave you with each exhale, and with each inhale, the positivity is filling you. But on the path of self-improvement, most people fall into the same traps. I wish that someone had told me earlier on my path of personal growth. Let me show you 5 mistakes that can hold you back and how to fix them. Do you actually have a plan written on paper? If not, you are just hoping. You are not building. A real plan gives your dream direction. Be honest with yourself. Don't set goals you can't achieve right now. Set realistic, actionable steps that will move you forward. Want to create a better life? Start with a clear vision. Write down your dream 5 years from now. Where do you live? What do you do? With whom are you? And what do you feel? Be patient, be specific. The clearer vision, the faster you move towards it. Your future self needs that blueprint. I used to wonder, why am I always working so slow? It's because I never gave myself deadline. Now I'm working in sprints, 1 hour of focused work and 15 minutes of relax. This creates urgency, structure and flow. Make it a habit. Journaling changed everything for me, but not the way you think. Here's my method. On one page, draw monthly calendar. Add some small daily goals that you will hit every day. On a second page, draw some bigger goals with check boxes for the progress. This keeps you organized, motivated and honest with yourself. After work, my mind feels like a trash storm in the wind. Now it feels like a calm, flowing river. How? Start with yoga nidra or 5-minute meditation before or after your work. It resets dopamine system, clears your thoughts and boosts your focus. For a full breakdown, just watch my previous video. Bandura curve is based on the work of Albert Bandura, famous psychologist, who studied how people develop their beliefs in their own abilities, what we called self-efficacy. The curve shows a powerful truth. At the beginning of any challenge, our confidence is high, but actual skill is low. As we start learning and facing obstacles, that confidence crashes. This creates a dip, a low point where most people quit. They think, maybe I'm not cut out for this. But in reality, they are just in a valley, the painful middle of the curve. If you push through the valley, keep practicing, learning and adjusting, your skills begin to rise. And eventually your confidence catches up to reality. That's when the flow happens. That's when mastery begins. So next time you feel like quitting early in your journey, remember, you are not failing. You are just on Bandura curve. Keep going. Your identity is holding you back. The biggest trap isn't what you do, it's what you believe about who you are. We say things like, I'm not a morning person, I've always been lazy, I'm not good with money, and we build life around this identity. Here's the problem. Your brain will work 24/7 to prove that you are right. So if you believe that you are inconsistent, you subconsciously will sabotage consistency. That's not fate, that's a programming. And how to fix it? Start acting as if. If you are already the person you want to be, how you would act today? How would you talk, eat, move, work? Do one thing every day that reflects your future version of you. You set goals instead of systems. Goal sounds crazy. Lose 15 kilograms, make $100,000 and write a book. But goals rely on motivation, when systems rely on momentum. A goal is an outcome. A system is a habit that gets you there. Instead of saying, I want to write a book, instead build a system where you will write 500 words every morning. Want to lose weight? Walk 30 minutes after lunch every day. Small systems, consistent actions, big changes. You don't rise to the level of your goals. You fall to the level of systems. You think motivation comes first. We wait to feel motivated before we act. But that's not how change works. Motivation doesn't come first. Action comes first. Motivation follows. It's called behavior feedback loop. When you take action, your brain rewards you with dopamine. The dopamine makes you feel good, so you repeat the action. Make it ridiculously easy to start. Not work out for an hour. Just put gym clothes and stretch for 2 minutes. Once you start, momentum takes over. You don't track your progress. You can't improve what you don't measure. Most people fail because they don't know what's working. They wing it. They feel confused why nothing sticks. How to fix it? Create a daily habit tracker. Track 3 to 5 things. Woke up before 8. Moved your body. Avoided social media before 10 a.m. Seeing a progress gives your brain a dopamine reward. And it builds identity. I am a type of person who shows up. You're living in reactions, not intention. You wake up and immediately react. Notifications, email, cravings. We let the world decide what we are focusing on. And how to fix it? Start your day with intention. Before touching your phone, ask yourself what matters the most today. What would make today a win? Even 10 minutes of intentional planning can shift all the day. You don't need a schedule, you just need a priority. That I said that there is a better way to relax than alcohol. This is it. Yoga Nidra is a guided meditation that's like a power nap for your brain. It reduces stress, restores energy, and even improves your focus and creativity. Do it between work blocks or when you hit mental fatigue. Even 20 to 30 minutes can give you Olympic level recovery. I highly recommend trying it, and if you want a guided version from me, comment below guide and I will make it happen. What is your future self? It's the clearest version of your future that you wanna. It reduces anxiety and gives yourself direction. Trust me. I was diagnosed with clinical depression and anxiety. But when I created a vision of my life 5 years from now, what I feel, what am I doing, with whom are you, what do I eat? Something changed. Write it down and reread it every day. Feel it, live it, let it guide you. Because without vision, you are drifting. Before, I was not focused. A lot of distracting thoughts was in my head. And I found meditation. Here's the technique. Sit in a comfortable position, close your eyes, start breathing, and feel the air going in and out your nose. No thoughts, just feeling. Start by doing 5 to 10 minutes. Once you quiet your mind, it's time to organize your thoughts with journaling. If you get just a little better each day, even 1%, it makes a big changes in a year. It's called compound growth, and it's real, and it's 37% a year. First is anxiety and quieting your mind technique. Before you go to sleep, just give yourself 20 minutes of preparation. Just sit, dump all your thoughts on paper for 10 minutes. After, walk away. After 10 minutes, reread it, write 1 sentence in summary, and flush it. It's hard to keep all thoughts and ideas in mind, so I invented my journaling technique. You need to create second memory for yourself. Here's my invention of journaling, and there are 2 steps. The second one is achieve everything you want method. Write a calendar and add some things that you must do every day, like meditations, journaling, reading, etc. Write your month goals on the second page. Let's erase your anxiety. For that we will use visualization and journaling. If you get just a little better each day, even 1%, it makes a big changes in a year. It's called compound growth, and it's real, and it's 37% a year. First is anxiety and quieting your mind technique. Before you go to sleep, just give yourself 20 minutes of preparation. Just sit, dump all your thoughts on paper for 10 minutes. After, walk away. After 10 minutes, reread it, write one sentence in summary, and flush it. It's hard to keep all thoughts and ideas in mind. So I invented my journaling technique. You need to create second memory for yourself. Here's my invention of journaling, and there are 2 steps. The second one is achieve everything you want method. Write a calendar and add some things that you must do every day. Like meditations, journaling, reading, etc. Write your month goals on the second page. What is your future self? It's a clearest version of your future that you wanna. It reduces anxiety and gives yourself direction. Trust me. I was diagnosed with clinical depression and anxiety. But when I created a vision of my life 5 years from now, what I feel, what am I doing, with whom are you, what do I eat? Something changed. Write it down and reread it every day. Feel it, live it, let it guide you. Because without vision, you are drifting. Depression hits hard, but self-improvement path is fun and great. If you are on this path too, let's walk it together. And subscribe and leave a comment and like. Firstly is meditation. Secondly is reading. Before I was not focused. A lot of distracting thoughts was in my head, and I found meditation. Here's the technique. Sit in a comfortable position, close your eyes, start breathing, and feel the air going in and out your nose. No thoughts, just feeling. Start by doing 5 to 10 minutes. Once you quiet your mind, it's time to organize your thoughts with journaling. What a lot of people don't like to do. Reading, but it's necessary fun. Just 10 to 15 minutes a day will keep you inspired and motivated. And you feel smarter. Your future self just needs to be smarter. Just put this in your journal. First is a shadow work. Most people run from their darker sides, from fear, insecurities, regret. But your shadow holds the part of you that you've hidden away. And often they control your life in secret. Sit with a notebook. Ask yourself, what parts of myself do I reject? When do I feel triggered? Write about memories that still hurt yourself. Be brutally honest with yourself. This isn't about blaming yourself, it's about understanding. When you shine light at your shadow, you take its power back and you grow into a more whole and grounded version of yourself. Second, keep your dream journal. Your subconscious mind speaks in symbols while you sleep. Every morning, before even you get out of bed, write down what you remember, even if it's fragments. Over time, patterns will appear. Look for repeating symbols, people, places. Ask yourself, what does it mean for me? Carl Jung believed that dreams show you the parts of yourself that you've ignored when you are awake. Analyzing your dreams gives you insight that therapy can't always reach. Third, create a goal calendar. I see so many people write vague goals. They wonder why nothing changes. Here's my simple method. Take one page for your whole month, break it down into small daily achievable tasks. On the second page, write down your monthly bigger goals with the check boxes. Every day, tick off what you complete. This habit keeps your future clear in your mind and gives you daily proof that you are moving forward. When you see progress, your mind relaxes, anxiety drops, your motivation grows. Fourth, read good books. Reading isn't about collecting information, it's about expanding your mind. Read psychology, philosophy, biographies, especially thinkers like Carl Jung. If you are lost, start with memories, dreams, and reflections. Reading rewires your brain and helping you to understand the world and yourself. And it lowers your anxiety because it brings calm focus. Even 10 pages can transform your mind over time. And finally, meditation. Don't overcomplicate it. You don't need to meditate for hours. Sit comfortably, close your eyes, and focus on the breath going in and out. When your mind drifts, bring it back gently. Or try Yoga Nidra, a deep guided relaxation practice that helps you to reset your nervous system and heal your mind. Meditation trains your focus and lower your stress and connects you with a version of you that is calm and powerful. A lot of people think that spirituality is escaping the world, meditating in silence, cutting off responsibilities and ignoring money and success. But here's the truth. Spirituality isn't about escaping, it's about alignment. It's aligning your actions, your mind, your emotions with your values and the mission. No matter how much money you make, no matter how much hours you work. Spiritual path is deeply connected with self-development. Why? Because it forces you to look inward. Who am I really? What kind of life do I want to live? What values do I stand for? Without this clarity, your goals is just random tasks. But with clarity, every action becomes meaningful. Meditation, not just about relaxation. It's training your mind to observe instead of react. This gives you control over anxiety and stress and makes you more productive. Yoga Nidra and the breath work. Deep breath practices heal your nervous system and bring focus back. They are tools to reset your inner state in this chaotic world. Journaling and self-reflection. This is your spiritual shadow work. Writing down your fears, doubts and dreams make a conscious visible, and when it's visible you can transform it. Vision and the goal. Spirituality isn't only inner work, it's an outer work too. Write down your dream in 5 years. What you do, with whom are you, what do you feel. That vision becomes your compass. Balancing the material and the spiritual. Spirituality without goals is a drifting, but goals without spirituality is a burnout. When you combine them, inner clarity and outer actions, you rise with purpose. You stop chasing random dopamine hits and start chasing something legendary for your life. Quick example from my own life. As a psychologist and entrepreneur, I saw both sides. The grind without meaning is a burnout. The meditation without actions is stagnating. The balance is what makes growth sustainable and fulfilling. Personalities is a different part of you that holds your beliefs, desires and the ways of acting. For example, the perfectionists who push you to work harder, the inner child who wants to play, rest and feel safe, and the critic who always judge. They aren't bad or good, they are the fragments of your past experiences. Jung described this through his prism of persona and the shadow. Parts of us we accept and show to the world, and parts that we are suppressing and rejecting. Why subpersonalities matter? If you ignore them, they create anxiety, stress, and even depression. But if you acknowledge them and integrate them, you gain wellness. Carl Jung believed that this is a part of the journey toward individuation, becoming your true self. How to identify your sub-personalities? Start observing yourself in different contexts. Who shows up when you are at work? Who shows up when you are alone? Who speaks when you are under stress? Journaling helps. Write down your thoughts in voices. Example, One part of myself says me to work harder, and another part says me to rest. How to integrate sub-personalities? Awareness, notice them without judgment. Dialogue, imagine having a conversation between them in your journal. What do they need and why they are here? And balance, instead of rejecting your inner child and your critic. Integrate their lessons. The critic might push you toward growth, but can do it harsh. The inner child might remind you that joy and rest are necessary. Integration means not fighting against yourself. You are building the team that works together. Practical tools to integrate them. Mindfulness meditation. Sit in silence, let these parts surface and observe them. The second is your dream journal. Jung considered that your dreams is a direct window to your subconscious. Keep a journal by your bed. Every morning write your dreams. Look for repeating symbols, people and places. Look for recurring characters. They often describes your sub-personalities. The third is shadow work. Write down traits you dislike in other persons. Often these reflect disowned parts of yourself. The fourth is goal calendar. Give structure to your adult sub-personality while still honoring rest and joy. Recommended books. If you want to go deeper, read Memories, Dreams and Reflections by Carl Jung. And another book is The Archetypes and Collective Unconscious by Carl Jung too. These books are heavy but life-changing. They will open your mind to how much power you have in your unconscious. These are not just nice to read books, they are books that can rewire your brain and sharpen your focus and give you practical tools to chase your dream without losing yourself along the way. But here's the deal. Reading itself, it's not enough. I will also explain how to integrate their lessons in your daily life so that you actually live them instead of collecting wisdom. So if you're aiming for something legendary instead of being average, watch this video till the end. It's not really about money, it's about your mindset. Kiyosaki explains how his two dads, one rich and one poor, taught him completely different ways of thinking about work, about freedom, about wealth. The poor work for money, but when the rich actually knows how to make money work for him. But here's how to integrate them. Start tracking your cash flow. Know exactly how much comes in and goes out. Stop buying liabilities disguised as fun. Things that drain money but add no value. Instead, build your assets, skills, investments, business, or even your health. Practical challenge. Every month ask yourself, what did I buy this month that build my future? And what did I buy that steals it? This one is deep. Jung teaches us that inside of us live many different archetypes. The hero, the shadow, the wise old man, and the child. And unless we meet them, we stay incomplete. Key lesson. Personal growth is not about becoming something new. It's about integrating pieces of you that actually inside of you. How to integrate it? Start shadow journaling. Write about qualities that annoying you in other people. That's your shadow speaking. Notice your recurring dreams. They often contain archetypes trying to talk with you. When you feel inner conflict, like one part wants success but other part is sabotaging it, remember, this is your sub-personalities. Listen to them. Practical challenge. Write a dialogue between you now and the part of yourself. Your inner critic, your ambitious self, your child self. You will discover hidden wisdom. Not many people know about this one, but it's powerful. This novel follows Frank Copperwood, a man obsessed in building wealth and power in the 19th century. Key lesson: ambition without self-awareness can break you. This book shows you the brilliance and the flaws of chasing your dream. Blindly. But how to integrate it? Reflect on your goals. You climb your mountain or someone else's. Understand that success is not just about money, it's also ethics, relationships, and inner peace. Use your ambition as a fuel, but mix it with wisdom. Practical challenge: write down your current dream, write down the possible costs of chasing it, and ask yourself, am I ready to pay the price? The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, Stephen Covey. This book is like a manual for self-mastery. These habits are simple, but if you actually apply them, they can change everything. The lesson is to be proactive. Begin with the end in mind, put first things first, and how to integrate it. Create a goal calendar. Every day write 3 non-negotiable actions that actually moves you forward towards your future. Learn to say no. Distraction disguised as opportunities. Live by principles, not just your mood. Practical change: write your personal mission in 3 sentences and read it every morning. The autobiography of Benjamin Franklin. Benjamin Franklin was not just a founding father. He was a printer, inventor, diplomat, and a writer. In his autobiography, he shows you how he built himself through his daily habits and relentless curiosity. The lesson: greatness comes from daily discipline, and how to integrate it. Follow Franklin's method. He listed 13 virtues like industry, humility, and tracked them daily in his journal. Don't aim to master all at once. Focus on virtue or habit one at a time. Reflect weekly how you live, not with guilt, but with honesty. Practical challenge: pick one character trait that you will improve daily and track it daily.